Merchant Shipping Act was passed in the monsoon session of Indian Parliament on the 11th of August 2025, and approved by the President of India on the 18th of August 2025. Main purpose of Merchant Shipping Act 2025. A decisive legislative step towards making India a global maritime leader, by simplifying laws, enhancing safety and environmental standards, and creating a facilitative business environment. Merchant Shipping Act 2025 contained 325 concise clauses spread across 16 parts. Key features of Merchant Shipping Act 2025. 1. Expanded vessel ownership criteria. 2. Safety, environmental protection and security. 3. Ease of doing business. 4. Registration of vessel. 1. Expanded vessel ownership criteria significa relaxation is given in ownership rules. Indian flagged vessels can now be wholly or partially owned by Indian citizens, companies, non-resident Indians, NRIs, overseas citizens of India, OCIs, or registered cooperative societies. This act will also allow for bareboat charter cum demise vessels to be registered. 2. Safety, environmental protection, and security. MSA 2025 will strengthen standards for safety, emergency preparedness, pollution control, and effective response to marine accidents, as MSA 2025 incorporates provisions from international conventions like MARPOL, Nairobi Wreck Removal, Salvage Convention, and Bunker Oil Convention, which strengthen standards for safety, emergency preparedness, pollution control, and effective response to marine accidents. Statutory powers allow for detaining of stateless vessels in Indian waters, enhancing maritime security and protecting India's coastline. MSA 2025 is also aligned with Maritime Labour Convention, MLC, by which seafarer will get better working and living conditions, medical support, pensions, and regulated recruitment agencies. 3. For ease of doing business. In order to reduce compliance burden, more investor-friendly norms, boost investor confidence and direct alignment with international obligation. MSA 2025 sets an enabling policy environment which will help investor from heavy regulation to facilitation. Provisions like electronic registration, remote registration for Indian flagged vessels, and temporary registration for vessels destined for recycling to simplify administrative processes. 4. Registration of vessel. Under MSA 2025, all vessels will need to be registered, except for those that are not mechanically propelled or weigh less than 15 tons and are used solely for navigating the Indian coasts. Definition of vessels has been expanded to include mobile offshore drilling units, submersibles, and non-displacement crafts, further broadening the scope of registration. Changes in Merchant Shipping Act 2025 in comparison to Merchant Shipping Act 1958. Number of sections, clauses. Merchant Shipping Act, 1958 contained 561 sections, whereas in MSA 2025 there are 325 clauses, divided into 16 parts. Vessel ownership. In MSA 1958, vessel ownership was restricted to Indian citizens and Indian registered companies, whereas in MSA 2025, it is now expanded to include wholly or partially owned by Indian citizens, companies, non-resident Indians, NRIs, overseas citizens of India, OCIs, or registered cooperative societies. Registration of ship scope. Registration of ship in MSA 1958 was applicable mainly to ships above 15 GT with limited categories. Whereas in MSA 2025, it covers all vessel types. Definition of vessel has also expanded, including offshore units, submersibles, and non-displacement crafts. Registration bareboat charter. Registration of bareboat charter was not explicitly recognized in MSA 1958, whereas in MSA 2025 it is formally recognized and facilitated. Seafarer welfare, MLC. MSA 1958 has very fragmented and dispersed provisions of MLC. Whereas MSA 2025 is comprehensive and fully compliant with MLC 2006 standards. International conventions. There was limited incorporation of international conventions in MSA 1958. MSA 2025 fully aligned with major conventions such as MARPOL, MLC 2006, Nairobi Convention, Salvage Convention, and Bunker Oil Convention. Electronic registration. Electronic registration facility was not available in MSA 1958, whereas in MSA 2025 remote and e-registration systems it is now enabled.